Monday, I talked a little bit about the ills of social media when we were chatting a little bit about people commenting on a story about a dead business owner, Ron Rando, and how people went out of their way to attempt to criticized him over and over and over again. There's a guy who can't defend himself anymore because he's gone. But that sort of, in essence, in a nutshell, is the new age of social media. And I was thinking about this last night. And I think the original intent of the Facebooks, of those platforms, was, give people an opportunity to express themselves in a more meaningful manner while reaching more people and being able to converse with family and friends across the country, across the state, across town. Hey, look what I'm doing today. Look at this. Look what I'm having to eat. Look at the pictures of my kids' Little League game, all that stuff. I think the original intent was probably very benign. But as human nature often does, is things that start out one way, it gets twisted into the most perverse negative thing that possibly could come of it. So the social media construct, what has sort of evolved from this, is so overly destructive. I mean, I really do believe it is one of the major factors that will forever keep us apart. And let me explain. I do this show every day. And part of my goal in doing this show is literally to bring as many voices together. Different opinions, different points of view, different perspectives. In the history of this show, I would, if I have to think about it, I think I would be well slanted left when it came to regular guests, if I thought about it. Like people who had a regular slot on my show. More of those folks leaned left or lean left than lean right. It's just over the history of the show, they have become so disenfranchised that they have left the show. I think 4 people from the day paper, 3 people from the bulletin. A number of, I don't have to run down the list. It doesn't really matter. So I have always presented an opportunity for open dialogue, always. And usually, even to this day, that open dialogue, I don't go out of my way to challenge my liberal guests, because what happens is it breeds this animosity not between me and them, but between them and me, and then they don't come back. I mean, this is case in point. It's happened over and over and over again. People have left the studio, called me on the phone and say, I'm not doing this anymore. It's just not worth it to me. Okay. Thank you for coming on, and that's it. So I'm going to be here. Whether you're here or not, that's up to you. But I just want to make sure everybody understands that the forum is wide open. That goes for callers as well. You could pick up the phone and call me. Whether you're left, right, center, whatever it is. Take these calls all the time. Different points of view. Now, sometimes I want to bang my head against the wall with some of the things that I hear, and I'm a little bit more apt to fire back at the callers, in particular callers that are completely throwing out either disingenuous information or false information. But let me get back to the social media part of it. So every day we post on Facebook, and I'm going to try to post on Twitter again, the schedule of the show. Like who's coming up. That way someone's scrolling in the morning, they say, oh, well, look, who's coming up at 7:35? Oh, I want to make sure I tune into Boots. Or look at Red Yankee. I wonder who he had to write this week. So maybe they tune in at 9:05, give them an appointment listening. I hope you listen the whole time, but some people can't. So that's the idea behind that. Then, of course, on Facebook, it has taken a life of its own with some great comments and great commentators. I love the Facebook Discord every day. It's great. Like back and forth. And sometimes you guys get a little sarcastic and the humor flies, but I wish more people would comment on the Facebook thread. Right? But the problem is there are like the people who post every day on our Facebook thread, they're not running from anything. Like they're willing to stand by their comments. See, social media has devolved into this shadowy like place where the worst possible human beings that God has ever breathed life into exist and flourish in those shadows. The worst cowards that have ever walked upright, the worst of the worst, survive in the shadows of social media. Zero courage, zero bravery. The anonymity provided by social media, these platforms, it emboldens individuals to engage in harassment. It just does. Think about the day paper. Before the day paper forced folks to sign up, like there was a big brouhaha, not brouhaha, but big controversy when the day paper had the comment section that the people who were commenting, most of the cowards who were commenting, they didn't want to have to attach a name to their account. They had these made up names so that they can spew their hatred and hide in the shadows. That's social media. Well, the day at least forced people to sign up through an email, and you had to assign a name to your. And it's frustrating to people who are out here every day. And when I say out here, I'm talking even about the people who are going back and forth on my Facebook thread. There's a name and an identity attached to their words. They're standing by what they say. And I would be willing to bet you every dollar that I have in my bank account, which isn't that much, thank you very much, Joe Biden, I'd be willing to bet you everything I have that the overwhelming majority, 90+% of the ugliness that occurs on social media comes from progressives. Because most conservative-minded folks are willing to stand by what they say. See, most progressives are hypocrites, and all of their planks and their platforms on what they supposedly stand for are built on sand. They're always moving. Go look at what some of these people do. Grown men taking time out of their day to build fake accounts or to hide in, again, anonymity and post on social media platforms with a fake picture of themselves on the Facebook or the Twitter. I mean, what a bunch of garbage. What kind of a coward are you to live your life like that? There really is no middle ground with those people. Spent some time last night with Heather Summers, Greg Howard, a couple other politicos. And I know Heather, certainly Greg. Greg is reaching out to his constituents all the time, sitting down having coffee with the most liberal of the people in his district. And I thought to myself as I was talking to him about this last night, as I'm considering maybe running for a political office, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I used to be like you, Greg. I used to be exactly like you. I want to have these conversations because I want to hear what you have to say. I am so jaded now by the ugliness of the ultra-progressive left that I'm getting to the point where I don't want to hear what you have to say anymore because it's garbage. You're filled with garbage. You're filled with negativity. You're filled with hate. The ultra-left progressive is so condescending and so elitist. I don't think there is a bridge to meet those folks. So kudos to those who try to meet in the middle, but I think in the end you're just going to get burned. And social media has evolved into the sewer of humanity. You've got cyber stalking, cyber bullying, spreading of misinformation, erosion of privacy. These echo chambers where all of you with the same like minds go and spew your hatred. Become addiction, an addiction for many of you. My guess is your mental health is in the sewer as well. We do social media. I don't want to say because I have to, right? But I know for a fact I certainly wouldn't troll people with made-up names. I try to crawl inside that person's skin and think, what is it that makes you tick? How pathetic is your life that you're going to take a chunk of time out of your life daily to go hide in the shadows of social media and try to wax poetic about whatever you believe in? It's so, for you, it's so embarrassing. Like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror every morning? What kind of a man are you? I don't even, your father and your mother would be embarrassed by it. Your grandfather would throw up. This is what's become of my son? Wow. Stand up for what you believe in. This is a forum that you have. The phones are always open. For God's sake, even if you don't want to meet me face to face, pick up the phone and call me. You've got an opinion? Share it. I'll give you the opportunity. But to sulk around in the shadows of the sewer and not attach your name to your ideas and your opinion? And that's no way to live.